Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Eddie Trunk here in New York City at the YouTube space, and I am joined by Breaking Benjamin. Good to see you guys.
What's up, bud?
Big day today. Big day. The album is out. There it is right there. Dark Before Dawn. How's it feel, Ben? It's been a while, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last album we put out was 2009. And so it's been what? Oh, my math sucks. What is that?
That would be 6 years?
6 years, my
Almost.
God. What happened?
The hell took you so long?
What happened?
Well, before we get into that, you have the band with you. You've got a new band as well. So why don't you, a good way to get started and get everybody involved is go around the horn, starting with Jason maybe, and tell everybody how you found these guys, their contributions to the record, and how they become part of Breaking Benjamin.
Well, I've known all of the guys for a really long time, and actually Jason is one of the first guys that I reached out to. But yeah, I mean, you could probably tell it better. Everybody could probably tell their own story better than me.
Well, I mean, I've known you about 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, a long time.
I was in a band called Red that was touring with Breaking Benjamin for a long time, and we met that way out on the road on different tours, doing different things, and early on had gotten the opportunity to kind of just exchange files with songs and stuff we were working on. Wrote together some. This was previous, so he got to write with us a little bit on a Red album, and I wrote a little bit with him on the previous Breaking Benjamin album.
Yeah, we first would get together and basically just chat about how much we were ready to go home and how tired we were.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I think we're kindred spirits there for sure. Like, this sucks, doesn't it?
But now that we're together playing in a band together, I mean, we just appreciate it so much more than we ever did in this situation. And it's not like work or anything.
And as you mentioned, you wrote some stuff. Jason, you have a couple things on this record as well.
Yeah, this one and then the one before it, which is called Dear Agony. He wrote a couple of things on, like little snippets, and we're really looking forward to the future of it too, because he's such a like-minded writer. They all these guys are, and it just so happened by the time I got them, all on board with me, I already was almost done with it. But
and Dark, which sets the whole tone for the record,
that's all him.
was your thing, right? It was just
It was the irony of the whole thing was something I kind of had. I don't remember if you sent out a text or something like that. Hey, I'm looking for this kind of thing, and some sort of transitional piece, whatever, little segues, or whatever. I'm like, oh, I got this thing. And I sent it to him, and the file was called Dark.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are you serious? Is this?"
It was like Dark Abyss or Dark Orion or something. And I was like, "Wow, check this out!" And it happened to be the greatest, one out of the bunch that he had sent that I thought. And it's just cool to get something that's already done, and you don't have to do anything to it. I've never really had that experience before, and that's the only reason why I'm like the primary writer in the band, is because I haven't ever really gotten anything that was like, I don't want to say good, but I don't like to use those kinds of terms, but just that was along the lines of stuff that I wanted to involve myself with. But when he sent it to me, all of the guys have sent me things that are absolutely just right out of the box great, so.
Well, it's got to be something too that connects with what you're feeling. It's got to, I mean, in order to write with somebody or have somebody's writing involved in the record, you have to feel like it fits with what you're going for with that
absolutely.
record.
And it's just basically, it's like a lot of people focus on the things that they like and the things that are similar, but I think more importantly, you got to focus on the things that you both think suck. Really, because you can both like a lot of the same stuff, right? But if they like a lot of the stuff that you think sucks, then they're probably going, I just heard your stomach go, that was that taco.
That may be a good way to introduce Sean if you'd like to start off with.
Yeah, great.
Well, Sean,
it was in time, too.
Sean is actually our link to this, because Sean and I were the first to meet at Rocklahoma this year when I was checking you guys out playing, and came up and said hello and then introduced me to you. So
I was like
thanks for that.
fangirl, and I was like, oh, hey.
Well, that's nice of you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that, and it's cool to be here. But Sean, how'd you get involved in this?
I was at previous Breaking Ben shows in the past, and I sort of like made my way to the bus one night and got to talking to Ben, and he's like, hey, so what do you do? So I play drums. He goes, oh, cool.
Yeah,
because you hears that stuff all the time.
No, you meet a lot of people, and they're like, oh, I play guitar, I play bass, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, man, yeah. You know, like, you don't know if they're good.
Right, of course.
So yeah, it was, we had met then, and he was looking for drummers, and he was talking to Aaron.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should check this Sean guy out of here. He's pretty good. So he got on YouTube, and he's like, oh wow, it's the guy from the bus. He's actually pretty good. So I sent some videos.
I was like, oh, that's that guy from the bus, man. And I watched a video of him playing Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh yeah, that's
Nightmare,
what it was.
right?
Yeah, it was Nightmare.
And I'm like, if he can play Avenged Sevenfold, he can do Breaking Benjamin, no problem. So.
Very, very cool. You mentioned YouTube. It's funny because of course we're here on YouTube. And if you think about, like, where would we be in music without YouTube? Like, how many people are finding musicians or finding their next singer, whatever? It's crazy.
The fact of the matter is, really, truly, that I did basically discover his talents on YouTube. Not necessarily him as a person, but what he could do. Because I had met him, like we said, prior. And I meet a lot of people that are musicians. And some of them you check out, and it's like, okay, cool, I'll go to the next one. But I saw him on YouTube, and he just blew me away. If it wasn't for YouTube, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Keith, where you come into the picture?
It's sort of kind of like Jason's story. My old band, Adelita's Way, we toured with Breaking Band. I guess it was like 2010, something like that. Yeah. And I guess like fast forward a few years later, I left that band, and then I got a message from Ben. He was just like, "Hey, what's up, man? Let's like talk about getting together and jam and stuff." And
he was like, "I would, man, but I got this thing going on."
No.
Yeah.
No, that was happening.
You did.
That was happening.
You gave him the brush off?
So no, he didn't give me the brush off, but he was working on his own album, which is on iTunes, and it's called Allies. It's really good.
Thanks, man.
And I had to basically take a back seat to it. And you know what? It was my pleasure to, because it really is a great EP. It's a great little EP.
Thank you. I don't know.
No, it is. It's like, hey, now you're going to be modest. Shine.
Shine for the world.
Shine for the world. He's like, excuse me. Anyway, let's.
Please use all the Breaking Benjamin time to sell your EP right now. We only got 45 minutes left.
Then they'll just like
I'm sure the label would love that if you just did that.
Exactly.
So it's been a good experience for you so far.
It's been awesome. Cool. We got together and jammed. I met all the rest of the dudes, and it's just been incredible.
Well, you've known Jason for a while too.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we played some shows.
These two are like the band brothers. They're always off running, doing something. Thunder Buddies. Yeah, Thunder Buddies, exactly. One of them's gone, and the other one is with them.
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject before it gets weird, but...
I mean, it didn't already?
I remember when you and I, the first time I met Keith, we were writing together for another project, and I was out touring, and the other project I was working on was Dear Agony.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, that was about the same time.
Circle, not squares.
I sense a very incestuous theme going on.
Oh, we pass it around, swing it, kick it to the curb, and then pick it up, dust it off, and rock it again.
Aaron, jump in, man.
Well, I met Ben before any of these guys, actually. Before Breaking Benjamin was even like a full-time original band. They were a cover band in Northeast Pennsylvania.
NEPA.
And that's where NEPA. little shout out to NEPA.
Shout out to NEPA. Kibasi.
Sounds like a craft beer or something. The
there's
NEPA.
A lot of Kibasi in NEPA. They love it.
I was friends with the bass player of the band, a guy named Jonathan Price, called him Bug. And Bug was like, "Hey, you got to come out and check out my band." And I came out, and it was incredible.
What kind of covers were you guys playing?
Well,
we did Osteris. The first song we ever sang together was Osteris by Perfect Circle on Murder Noms.
Yep.
And
the first song I ever played with you, it was the first night I came out. It was
that was the first song we
sang
together.
First one we sang together, yeah. But it was Mud Shovel by Stained.
Mud Shovel by
was
Stained.
The first song that I played.
Yeah, well, back in the day, I mean, we got our start as Breaking Benjamin got their start as a cover band, playing every weekend for this. There was a scene going on in northeastern Pennsylvania in the early 2000s, and thousands of people would come out. There were hundreds, like 600 for a band that's not signed or whatever. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, sure.
So that's really what launched our band. Not many people know that story. It's one of those things you kind of had to have been there and experienced it. So
that's a tough transition to make. When you're a successful cover band, doing great business, making money, playing music, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, here's an original song, and 3/4 of the people go to the bar because they want to get. So it's a tough move to make that transition and say, okay, now we're going to be an original band.
Well, one thing that really kind of set my mind to think that we were doing something right was when somebody came up to me. We would just slip our originals in, and somebody came up to me and was like, "Oh, who does that one song that you guys did?" And it was one of our songs.
Yeah.
So when they didn't even know, and it kind of blended in, we knew we were doing something that was, something that could be something great.
Right, you're sitting between Perfect Circle and Stained, and everybody's grooving on it, and you're like, okay, we're doing okay.
It's not obvious that it's an original.
Right.
So if anybody out there, for any advice, just make sure your originals are as good as the covers you play.
Yeah. Let's talk about the new record, Dark Before Dawn, which of course is out today. It sounds amazing, man. And
Thank you.
I got to ask you, being that it's taken 5-6 years to get it done. First of all, why did it take that long?
Well, we were on a hiatus. It's not like I was writing the whole time. I didn't take all that time and just write this album that whole time. There was a lot of, some people know, some people don't. There was a little bit of a dispute happening, and then there was health issues, which I'm still unfortunately suffering with. But you either lay down or you keep going, and obviously I'm not laying down, so I chose the path to just keep going through it. So really, Dark Before Dawn started to come together kind of towards the end of the hiatus more so, but there are bits and pieces of it that are throughout, but just a riff here and there or something of that nature. But the gist of the whole story is I took a hiatus to address some health issues, which I'm still struggling with, and it took years and years through the medical system to even go through the whole gambit of testing and all that
Is it related to your sobriety?
Yeah, I used to be like a really hardcore alcoholic, and I drank for about 10 years. I stayed up one night I stayed up 1 week for 3 days straight drinking, and then when I woke up on the third day, I felt just really horrible. And this is like 2007, and it basically never went away. It was just like permanent hangover, but worse. Really hard to describe. And I can't even say what it is, because that's what the whole hiatus was about, was me saying, well, let me find out what it is. So I never got an answer, because the medical community isn't what people think it is. And I don't want to make this whole thing about that. But the gist, the short of it is that when I got the 100th answer, which was no, when I got the 100th reply, which is we can't help you, from the 100th doctor, from the 100th hospital that I went to, I literally took my medical records, which was like this thick, and I slammed them down I forget this. I'm not getting anywhere with this. So I just decided to just stop trying to find it out, whatever it was, and really just focus hard on the music. And that's when Dark Before Dawn really started to take shape, and that's when I called everybody up. Because at that time, the legal struggle was over, and it was time to sort of get it all together. And here I am pretty much by myself. So fortunately, through the years of knowing everybody, even when I was in the other band, I was like, hey, I know an awesome guitar player. I know an awesome drummer. I know an awesome bassist who also sings, and another guitar player that also sings who's an amazing guitar player. So I already in my mind sort of knew everybody. It was just a question of putting us all in the same room and seeing how it clicked, and it was just awesome right from the get-go. So.
Does the title of the record, to me, it sounds optimistic.
Yeah.
And hearing what you went through, it sounds like it may even tie into that a little bit. Is that kind of what you're feeling?
It's all purposeful, you know what I mean? I still like to take a sort of page from the book of Nirvana where I don't really try to be too literal with things, but you can't help but hearken on tones of your life when you're writing lyrics or you're writing music. And I don't know, man. Honestly, it's just the pieces just came together on their own, and that's what is bringing us all here, is that nothing is really forced, and it just came together like it was a force of its own. And I know that sounds like whatever, but it's truly, really the case here. So it just started to take on a life of its own, and he was right. You know, he, like we'd mentioned, he wrote the intro part, and I'm like, you know, kind of setting the tone for the, you know, the darker side of things, and then he wrote the outro as well, which is Dawn. And interestingly enough, a cool thing about that, my son's heartbeat's in it, and I took his heartbeat and I cut it and made the beat out of it. And then me and my wife are singing on it. So the end one is he wrote the music, and me and my wife and my son are all on it. So
wow.
So it's like, doesn't get any more Dawn than that.
No, and you know, that's another thing too, is obviously you're a relatively new dad. You had your first Father's Day this weekend, and your son's around here somewhere.
Yeah, he's running around.
He's always around somewhere.
He's slobbering on something in there.
They got Jason's shirt.
Yeah, that's what it
is. You got a little bit on there. But
yes, that's a way nicer explanation.
Oh, yeah, than the one we had before we were rolling.
It's early yet. We'll get there. But how did becoming a dad impact you? I mean, you talk about the impact of what you've gone through with your health issues, but obviously, you know, bringing a human being into the world, I mean, that had to play a pretty heavy role.
I always try to steer away from the stereotypical things that people say about their kids, because when you don't have kids, you're like, we get it, man. Your kid's great, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
But when you have a kid, you're like, oh my God, and now I'm like that dad that says, because it's true. It really is all true. So I try not to say it, because part of me doesn't want to be that guy.
I got 2 kids. Trust me, I know exactly what you're saying. You're like, because you think of yourself when you used to be like, without the kids, you're like, I got to hear about this guy's kids. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you're that guy, you're trying to govern yourself a little bit.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, when you have the pictures on your phone and all that, you know, it's just hard not to be like, you know, I'm like, don't do it, man. Don't show him, man. He doesn't care. You know.
But how did it impact? Did it impact? Well, the record was done probably before he was born.
Yeah, in and around. Like I said, he was actually born when we did the heartbeat. When we recorded the heartbeat, I went to a doctor, Aaron Dorfman, and he had a stethoscope that had a built-in like MP3 recorder in it, and so he just recorded the heartbeat. So the album, like I would say. I don't really know. I think we were just finishing the last few songs when he was actually out.
Yeah,
like out of the vagina.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
A lot
That could
of
have been the closing track.
Yeah, out of the vagina. That's the next one.
Jason, you would have lost the closer. It could have been brand new band composition. Out of the vagina.
That's the next album.
Fire sample.
Yeah, could be your stairway to heaven, man. You never know.
You never know. That's a different stairway.
What were you saying though, Jason?
I'm saying we could have sampled the actual something and used other noises from
we
it,
don't
but
wanna
it was
do that.
it was finished.
We don't want to do that.
Did you feel, because this record was so anticipated and because your fans had been waiting so long for it, did you feel pressure? Did you feel like, oh man, you know, this has got to really be, there's anticipation for this thing, I really got to deliver?
Yeah, no, you know, I've been asked that a couple of times, and I really don't think I ever succumbed to pressure or anything like that. It definitely, if the people that you know, follow the band and are familiar with the band, I don't think I ever felt the pressure, because I knew that I was always the primary songwriter of the band, and I knew that nothing is different as far as that's concerned at all. As far as like a quality aspect of pressure, I put more pressure on myself than I would get from any outside source. So that's just like the constant for me, that like I'm just used to that kind of pressure, and I'll be my own worst critic, way worse than anybody could be to me. So. And
how about as a producer, because you produced the record as well?
Well, listen, there's other people who give you their versions of things, and I can't help that, but I myself am entitled to my own version. And I would say that I did the same amount of producing on this album as I've done on other albums, just never had my name. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So, you know, that was basically a really conscious decision of me to be like, you know, I'm not doing anything different here than I'd done in the past. Why shouldn't I sort of be known to be doing it? You know, why shouldn't I get the credit for something that I'm like actually doing? So I just basically did it, and I didn't tell anybody, whereas the process before was I would tell people that I'm doing it. We would gear up to do it, and then people would get involved, and then credit would go wherever people would try to put the credit. So, I just didn't tell a single soul I was doing it. I just did it in my own studio, in my own place, and it was great. But as far as producing is concerned, I definitely had a lot to do with producing, a lot of other Breaking Benjamin.
Is it hard to be critical? Like, in other words, these guys, as a producer, it's your job to talk about their performance and
We
work
had
with
fun
them.
with it. Didn't we?
Anybody,
do it now!
I was going to say, anybody blow up or anybody throw anything?
I've seen him go through the recording process with the previous iteration of the band, and I can say that this was completely different from anything that I had seen from him in the recording environment before. It's just we had so much fun.
The environment, not the process.
Yeah, exactly. The environment. That's what I'm saying. It was so much fun. It was such a great time, and you can't call it work.
We're the kind of people, we take what we do super seriously, but we're not like serious about ourselves. So I would just be like, that sucks. Do that.
Well, how about,
and it'd always be a situation where, like, I know. It's never something that if it's critique, it's known.
But you playing guitar and singing on the record, did any of the other guys, did you have anybody that would check you as the producer? Because your own performance?
It's kind of game.
No, we were doing something live the other day. We were trying to work out a harmony, and I was like, do it like this. And you're like, that wasn't right either. Touche.
Let me ask you about the first single, which is out and doing really well, Failure. What's the history of that song?
That was probably towards the end of recording process, and it was just one of the riffs that I sat on from the hiatus, and we all just kind of came together and really, me and Sean work first. I write the demo out to a click track. It's kind of boring how I'd like to say, a magical fairy came to me in the middle of the night and I had this epiphany. No, it's really technical babble jargon kind of stuff, but I write the whole thing to a click track, all the riffs and all that stuff, and then I'll either program the drums and we'll work them out in the real world, or I'll just have him play to the pre-recorded music, and we sit there and we just bang it out.
We just sit for a day.
Yeah, we sit
go
for
over
a
different
day.
parts, and you'd be like, "Hey, hit that cymbal." I'll be like, I can't.
No,
I'm over here. And he'd be like, "You hit it."
No.
But no, it was cool because we tried so many things, and then we would drive around, listen to it, and he'd go, let's try this.
It's cool now too because he'll do a bunch of takes, and I'll snip and cut and do. That's the way it is now. You can actually see what you're doing literally on the screen, and he would do. I'm like, okay, first off, just lay down what you want to do, and I'm not going to say anything. And then we kind of start there. Sometimes it's nothing like that. Sometimes it's I try to incorporate as much of the artist, what they want to do into it, their style and stuff, but it has to fit too, and it has to be like a part of the vision. But it starts with me and him. Once we get the drums down, they're all, put together. He'll learn it one performance, we'll redo it one shot, and then these guys will lay their flavor on it. But when I write the song in Pro Tools, for the most part, there's nowhere to go, and I've already tried 1,000 things to get it to a point where they've heard it. So, and I love when they do the same to me, So it's the way we work is so mutual. He sends me stuff that's done, and I love it. I love hearing stuff I don't have to do anything to, because I could do my own stuff, and I don't want to do my own stuff. I want to do some other stuff, Same thing with everybody. He has this amazing chorus that I can't wait to do on the next album. But that's kind of the whole process, and Failure is just no different, It was really fun to do. It's a great environment. These guys are singing on it for the first time. Breaking Benjamin I've always had to do my own background vocals, in the studio. Mm-hmm. But these guys are doing every single one on this album. And so it was fun too, because going back to the producing thing, that's what we worked on the most as far as producing.
Harmony, backing vocals.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
guitars are guitars, what are you going to do? You can tune it, you can fix it. Singing is a totally different animal, so we spent a lot of time. Because they have to sing So, you know, when you're playing a guitar, you can kind of let your style come through, but it really is just playing guitar.
Matching. Yeah.
Singing, if you're singing to somebody, you kind of have to sound like them for it to really gel. So they really altered their personalities.
And it's you know, and it's little things like inflection and vibrato and making sure you even almost have to breathe the same. So
you do. We worked on breaths.
And it's
he would do vibrato. Like when I do vibrato, it just comes out of my throat that way. Like, like but he doesn't. He moves his chin.
I had to move my chin to match it because his vibrato is so fast.
I was like, oh my god, that's awesome.
You know something that's very apparent to me sitting here talking with all you guys is that, you know, the band bears your name. You're the producer, you're the primary writer, you're the singer, guitar player, but this very much feels like a band. It's important to you that this is still a band, right?
Oh my God, this is more of a band than it's ever been. Before, you know, we were just guys kind of doing our own thing perfectly. You know, everybody was great before in the band, doing exactly what they should have been doing, but kind of like tunnel vision to the crowd. Everybody was there for the crowd, but only in, you know, one person to the crowd. Now it's like the band as a whole, we always communicate. We don't play to any click track and we don't play to any tracks. So we have to communicate. So even if we don't like to, we have to. There's no count-ins. We just like look at each other, start the song, you know?
You guys are actually bringing it live.
Yeah.
And I got to tell people, being somebody that's been in the business a long time, because I'm old.
We're all getting there.
But one of the biggest bummers for me going to festivals and things like what I just saw you guys at Rocklahoma and things like that is that there's so many bands and a lot of people in the audience don't even know it, that honestly are using pre-recorded tracks, and what you're hearing is really not live, or not all of it at least.
And unfortunately, we did that in the past.
You have?
Yeah.
I think it's so admirable, the bands that actually do 100% live shows in this day and age, because it's so easy with technology to not, and to take the easy road out. But to put the work in on harmonies and backing vocals and guitars and, you know, drums and everything, is really, really admirable in this day and age.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I'm never going to say, you know, like, you shouldn't do that. Like, if that's what bands want to do, let them do it. It's just not for us. I don't want to be...
I'll say it. I think it's weak.
Well, you can. You can say it. You can say it.
My whole thing is I'm not a musician, all right? So I can appreciate that there's some things that are hard to recreate. But in my opinion, have a human being doing it. You know, have an extra person.
You can,
and you can show, hey, this guy's helping us out. Whatever.
Exactly.
We were talking off camera before about Aerosmith, an older band that's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
They got a guy that helps them out, plays keys and vocals. He's sitting right there. They introduce him. He's helping us out. That's fine.
Yeah.
But to run a recording, I'll stay home and save the money and listen to the CD.
I absolutely loathed playing to tracks. It's just either play to the tracks or it's just not there, you know, and it was really hard to make, you know, all the decisions that I thought needed to be made when you have to, you know, make sure everything is okay. You know, is it okay if I make the band better? And it's like, no, it's going to cost money or something stupid like that. Obviously now I'm doing everything that I always wanted the band to be, and I don't really have to answer to anybody. So, you know, we do everything 100% live. And speaking of technology, you know, technology also lets us not play to tracks. It's just how you apply the technology. So instead of running a track, we have an entire V kit integrated into his drum kit, and he's actually playing and triggering the things live that aren't like instruments. So like a sound, digital sounds that would be on a track.
Right, I'm fine with all that. I get all that. I'm talking with bands stack guitars and vocals and stuff on tracks.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like bands that put all this effort into playing the tracks, they should use the technology to not play to tracks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the technology, and also technology allows him. We have this really cool thing. Roland makes it. It's called a GR55. It's basically a digital pickup that turns your guitar string into a computer language called MIDI. And then from there, you can turn it into anything you want, like even drums. You wouldn't want to, but you can. So he plays saxophone. You can. So he plays all of the orchestra and string parts on a guitar. He plays
that's cool.
all of the choir parts. So these things aren't, it's basically instead of him playing a keyboard, he has a thing, a Roland GR55, that turns his guitar strings into keyboard, whatever we would do on a keyboard. And that allows him to run a separate output and actually play guitar and those things at the same time. So we're integrating technology not to play to tracks, but to get away from tracks. Like, we're using technology in the right way to get away from playing to tracks. And everybody sings, and that's just something, you either can do it or you can't. I think you're born a singer, and if people say, oh no, you can rehearse and you can become a good singer, that's because you always were a singer, you know. And so these guys are just born singers, and there's just no way to replace that.
We're talking a lot about playing live, which begs the obvious question: what is the plan for playing live? Because when I did meet you for the first time recently, and we were talking backstage, you're like, "Oh, I don't fly."
Yeah,
I don't go. And I said, "Well, what are you going to do about Europe?" And you said, "I'm going to get on a ship."
I'm going to get on a boat. Yeah, we're actually talking about it right now. We're talking about what it's going to take and planning. These things. Because I'm on a ship, it takes a long time, so the things we talk about now won't be implemented for months, but it's definitely in the pipes, and I'm going to be adamant about getting overseas to all the fans that want to see us, because now more so than ever with social media, you still interact with fans all over the world, and now, getting on a boat or whatever I have to do to get there, I'll be able to actually physically, play for them and be there for them in their countries and stuff like that. So I'm actually really excited about it, because aside from the band, I've never been outside of the United States. So I'm really stoked as a person, like just personally, to do it.
Did you have a bad experience flying, or
I've
did
had
you
several.
ever fly?
Yeah, I've flown.
So you had something that spooked you out of it?
Yeah, several.
When was the last time you flew?
The last time I flew was actually for a showcase for Breaking Benjamin. It was the October after September 11th, just the next month.
So that was the last time you were on a plane?
That was the last time I flew, yeah.
And did something happen on that flight?
No, that was when I really, I had already said I don't fly.
Right.
And just because I wanted the band to succeed so much, I did a showcase. And I wasn't going to let the band down by me not flying out there and doing it. It was like one of those things that it was a now or never type thing. And we never, they weren't interested in the band.
Went through all that and they didn't want to sign you.
I took a train back.
You know what I did to get here?
Yeah, it sucked, man. It sucked so bad. But, it's one of those things that there's nothing that's going to stop us from doing everything that every other band does. It's just going to take a little longer to get there.
Yeah. Well, people watching this all over the world, it's good for them to know that you guys will eventually they'll eventually get to you.
Yes.
It's going to take Ben a little longer than the other guys.
It will.
They'll be hanging out, drinking, partying, waiting for him, and then when he gets there, he gets there.
I'll get there looking all Caruso with a beard and what year is it?
We should, speaking of the people watching this, we have some questions that came in via Twitter that I believe that we are going to incorporate into this conversation. So we should let the people, I would think, fire away.
Let's do it. The first question is going to be, are you ever going to come overseas?
Why don't you fly?
Yeah.
All right, well, some of this stuff we kind of covered, so I'll go to the stuff we haven't. This is from Twitter user @MAPREN, it looks like.
They're probably right now going, yeah,
Ma
that's
Pren,
me.
Ma_Pren. What can fans expect to see from your upcoming live shows touring behind Dark Before Dawn?
Well, now we're doing this really cool stuff where we don't play to any tracks.
For the upcoming tour, they're going to bring all the tracks back.
Yeah, just for one show. No,
I guess set list wise, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're going to try to, as the album sort of starts to gain some momentum, hopefully blows up, we're going to start putting more and more songs from Dark Before Dawn into the list, and I try, out of all of the albums, I literally look at the set list and try to do the same exact amount from each album. And so that's pretty much what it'll be, and then we'll switch stuff out. But as far as performance goes, we're going to stick to what we're doing. We don't play to a click track, and we don't play to tracks. So everything that you see, whether it's triggered or whatever, it's being done by a person, like it's being performed.
A Groig McDonald via Facebook says, you have a few acoustic shows that popped up for next week. how did they come about, and where can fans get tickets?
Oh yes, please come and see us. We're doing like a run from the 1st to the 6th, and it's going to be acoustic. I'm not sure of the date, so just go on our Facebook, Breaking Benjamin, on our Facebook, or breakingbenjamin.com. Simple enough, and the tour dates are up there, and it's 5 shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, five shows.
The ticket links are up there.
Yeah, the ticket links are up on our website, and the ticket links are up on our Facebook and our Twitter, which is @BreakingBenj, and our Instagram, which is just Breaking Benjamin too.
Okay,
But
cool.
we'd love to see everybody out there. We really wanted. They didn't have anything booked for us. And I'm like, what? I don't want to sit here. Like, let's do something acoustic,
Got
you know?
kind of bored and wanted.
Yeah,
to play.
exactly, dude. Don't. That's exactly what happened. And because
he'll text me and it's about that time.
about that time.
yeah,
he's
we were
going-
sitting around like, are you guys as bored as I am? Like,
It's about we just put a record out. We
Yeah,
should probably
yeah.
go do something.
yeah, I mean, but more so, it's just because we want to get out there so badly. Like, we just want it to be natural, just like the whole thing is. You know, the promotion stuff is. We just want it to be fun, like this is, and everything that we do, we want it to have purpose and just be organic and fun and natural.
All right. Miranda's Art via Twitter says, how do you feel about the fan response to your comeback from such a long hiatus? Failure's doing well at rock charts. Shows are doing well. Must be a great feeling. Do you feel good about where things are at? Obviously, yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's awesome. I mean, we're more than ever, even because we've talked about it individually. Even individually, we're just all grateful to be able to be doing this, and to have the support is really what's like driving us to keep at it.
Plus, they've been really just welcoming
To the new
us new guys.
Not throwing anything at you.
I get stuff thrown at me, and I'm like, what the heck, man? I'll take it though. If it means they don't get something thrown at them, I'll take that.
Just the overwhelming support of the fans. It's been really like just humbling.
Yeah.
It's just it's incredible how great the fans have been to all of us.
Yeah, well, I saw it recently, Memorial Day weekend at Rocklahoma, seeing you guys in the audience there, and the people really, embraced the band, and it was definitely awesome to see. This is, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but 2 people mentioned the fact, Ben, that you're now a dad, and they want to know how that has impacted you, but they also want to know, do you keep your family out with you at all these events? Do they travel with you?
Yeah, I take my whole family with me. I take my son and my wife, and my wife's an identical twin, so we take her with us as well, because they're like inseparable. They're like the kind of identical twins that cannot be separated. So when I met my wife, I got like an identical twin that came with it. But
Wait a minute, hold on.
No, not like no.
No, I'm not even going there.
Okay.
I just want to make sure. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
All right.
No. I'm just trying to make sure I got that right, so people don't go there.
Okay, good.
I want to clarify it for your purposes.
Thank you.
I'm trying to help you out.
Thank you.
So your wife,
my wife is an identical twin.
and her twin also travels.
Yeah, her twin moved in with us and lives with us and stays with us just because they hate to be separated. They're the kind of twins that feel like they really do always think each other's thoughts. And
so did I meet your wife or her sister before?
We won't flip it out on you.
Do you get flipped out every once in a while?
I used to. They look a lot different now from each other than they did when I first met them. But when I first met them, I would get flipped out a little bit. I'd be like, honey, can you? Oh.
It took me the longest time to get used to which one was which.
They're like, come on, baby, don't be shy. Oh. No.
See, that's what I was trying to get away from the weird thing.
No.
But how's the little guy band done on the road? Is
that's
he all
the
right?
thing. We've toured. All of us have toured individually so much. I'm no different. I've toured so much. I'm to the point where I'm just not going to do it unless I can bring my family with me. That's the stipulation. I have to be able to bring my family everywhere that I go. That's why they're here, right now. But
got to bring the family and can't be on an airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the 2 rules.
That's it.
Otherwise, you go anywhere.
Yeah, but he's a little road dog, man. He's about 8 months, and the bus starts, and he goes to sleep, and that's it. He loves it, man. He's like, where are we going next?
Let's see here. We've got another one here. They say your sound has remained consistent throughout your career. What's the formula to providing fans with that consistency?
We don't play to any channel. No, I mean, like I said, like we touched on a little bit before, I mean, because there hasn't really been a substantial amount of music that I could really devote myself to coming from any outside sources or anybody else in the band in the past. I've just been the one that's always wrote it. And so that process hasn't changed, so the band sounds the way it does. And now bringing these guys in the future, we're so like-minded that, you know, you can't really tell his part from my part or his part from my part. Like, I get commented on a riff a lot that he wrote from a song called Lights Out. People are like, man, that's an awesome riff. I'm like, cool, I'll tell Jason because he wrote it, you know? So it's that kind of thing that's going on now, so I'm really looking forward to the future more than anything. Not that, I don't know if I answered that question.
Well, actually, that kind of ties in. Michael Matsui Jr. via Facebook, now that Dark Before Dawn is out, how far are you looking into the future for what's next for Breaking Benjamin? I mean, that's kind of ties in.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you know, what do you think?
Just tour the world and then no, I don't know.
Writing and
yeah,
We're gonna play shows and support the album.
We're gonna fly places and wait for Ben to get there.
We did an interview not too long ago, and the guy's like, "Yeah, man. So what are you guys gonna be doing when you're out supporting and really like pushing the album?" We're like, out touring and pushing the album.
Let's see. They said this person's not credited, but they said you've touched on your health issues here and there. How are you feeling these days with such a grueling schedule coming up?
Well, you know, again, I don't want to make it into that, but you know, we've touched on it. But I'm still as sick as I've always been, and the medical system, unfortunately, like 100%, like let me down in my case. And so I don't have a choice but to just give it all I got. And I know it sounds cliche or cheesy, but every day that I'm able to be up there doing what I love to do is another day that I'm going to be up there doing what I love to do. And if I go down, I'll go down playing for people that I love and the people that love what we do.
Do you think that, you know, also without sounding cheesy, but I've always felt that rock music keeps you young, makes you feel good when you're listening to it, when
Absolutely
you're playing
true.
it.
100%.
I feel that way. I mean, I don't ever feel as old as I really am because I've done this my whole life. You guys do it from a different perspective as players and musicians. But when you're up there playing, I know when I'm doing what I'm doing, whether it's radio, TV, whatever, you forget about the world. You're in your moment. You're having fun. You're in your zone. Do you feel physically better when you're on stage actually playing?
Yeah, I do. It all goes away, and you know, it's just music does. It's just got a power that science just hasn't discovered. But there's a scientific explanation of what the spirit of it.
Yeah.
You know, and there really is, and it's not just, for us, it's not just being able to play music and sing music, but it's also seeing people react and giving the love back and just loving what you're doing, getting messages that you're saving people and you're helping people. And, you know, and also an homage to you and what you do too, man. Like, there'll be times I'm not, and this is totally true, and they can vouch for it because they're there. There'll be times I'm not feeling good, and I'll just veg out on the bus and watch like that metal show marathon. I'm serious. No, I'm totally.
Nothing makes you feel better than Stump the Trunk,
Dude,
right?
we're not going to have to stump the trunk today, are we? Because I will lose.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I will lose. But no, man, I mean, it's stuff
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that makes me feel good because that's what I do, and I hear that from people.
It's true,
so that's
man.
cool.
I love it when you guys run the marathons because you just sit there and veg out and just watch the show, and you know, it's awesome, especially when you're on tour because there's really sometimes not a lot to do, but sit down and watch TV.
Yeah.
I think it's a climate thing too, because I know from doing a ton of shows in the past, the people you surround yourself with and like the climate, the atmosphere that you're in, there will be a point inevitably that, you know, anything you do becomes a job. And so in order to kind of keep it fresh and fun and everything, I think that's the exciting thing about, you know, the lineup that we have and everything is it's gone back to like feeling like 13 again playing
Oh, for
guitar
sure.
because it's just
If it
it's
ever
fun.
gets that way, then you got to really start to reevaluate the situation or correct it, and it's really just about respect and communication.
Absolutely.
You got it helps when you like the people you're in a band with. I mean,
and respect them.
and respect them. But I think that I find this all the time. A lot of fans don't realize, unfortunately, how many bands out there really. The guys don't really like each other all that much.
Yeah.
How many guys are on separate buses and only see each other for the hour they're on stage or whatever? I mean, when you have a vibe and a chemistry and a friendship and you can laugh and have some fun with everybody, I mean, that's a world of difference when you're on.
And it's rare too.
It's
Yeah,
rare.
and I mean, I think you see like with Bruce and Aerosmith and bands like that have just been together for so many years is probably because they were friends before they were in a band, not the other way around. And that's the case with this. I mean, before I was kind of in a situation where I was kind of limited to my geography of who I was playing with. Didn't really even know a couple of the people that well before I started playing with them. And it's like if you establish a friendship, a true friendship, before you start playing with them, and you respect them as a person and as a musician. Then you care enough when there is a problem. You care enough to fix it or you talk it through. Where if you don't have that respect and you don't, have any sort of friendship, you don't care to fix any problems. Then they loom in your mind.
Yeah.
Then you get a separate dressing room because you don't want to be around the dude. Then you get a separate bus because you don't want to be around whoever. So it's all based on true friendship and respect, because if you have those two things, you're going to care enough to want to fix any beef that you have.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. We did that page already. Any hints for fans of what the next single will be coming up after Failure from Dark Before Dawn?
I don't know if I'm able to say. I don't really care if I'm able to say or not, but it looks like we're going with Angels Fall to be the next single because it's one that people really reacted. It's the second. It's one right after Failure. So we're just going in order. Man.
You skipped Dark, man.
Yeah,
you could have done us.
Hopefully we make it to the end.
I have seen a couple of messages of people saying, "Please make Dark and Dawn into full songs." But,
one of the tracks I love on the record a lot, maybe you could speak about a little bit, is Ashes of Eden. Is it
Ashes
called?
of Eden.
Yeah, I thought that really stuck out to me as a really cool song.
Thanks. Yeah, we want to do that down the line too, but that's like a little bit of a softer one, and we still kind of want to keep rocking. And
Yeah,
then
sure.
When it goes, you know how it is.
Yeah.
But that song actually, interestingly enough, that GR55 I was talking to you about, I was going through all the presets. And I was going doom doom boom. Next preset, wah wah wah. Yeah. Next preset, just to hear it. Just when you get when a guitar player gets like a new toy, they go through it all and they just tinker around, go to the next one. Oh, I wonder what this sounds like. So I wound up doing that, and I hit this one. It was like doom boom boom, and it wound up being the sound that's Ashes of Eden. And I just kept going with it. And again, don't know where it came from, but from that preset, it just that's how it all started, and then just put the whole song together. It just really moved me to finish it up.
Another person here says, these people aren't credited, that's why I'm not giving their names. You've worked hard to bring Breaking Benjamin back in a monstrous way. What's been the most satisfying part of that journey for you so far?
Wow. There's so many things. I would say, I don't know about how other bands, and I'd like for everybody to really say for them, what it's like for them. But for me, making people happy is something that you can't really put a price tag on, especially when people say how much it means to them to the point where they're saying you're like saving their life. Like, what's more, like, what else are we doing it for at that point? Like, that's what every musician should be doing this for. And so for me, that's the most gratifying of the whole thing, though, just being a musician, just being alive, period.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. I don't know how you guys feel, but you do things because it's what you do and it's what you love doing. And I don't know, for me, I don't ever take a second and stop and think like how that's impacting somebody and how heavy it could be.
Yeah,
and you talk about watching my show. I just got an email from somebody not too long ago who's whose husband passed away of cancer, and all that kept him going for like a year, they said, was watching my show.
Yeah.
And it was
You'd
like
be
the only thing he
surprised,
looked for.
man.
So that like weighs heavy.
entertainment,
That like
dude.
hits you like a ton. Like, whoa, I'm answering stupid trivia questions, and somebody felt that
It's
heavily about
entertaining,
it.
though.
But you guys, as musicians, when you realize that something you played or something you wrote or something you produced or that had, I mean, you must all have experiences where you've heard from people where it's made that sort of heavy impact on them, and it's just kind of, it floors you.
I have a friend who's stationed over in Kuwait right now, and we did a couple shows on this last run that were streamed, and he sent me a bunch of pictures of him and everybody like over there watching the shows, and just telling us how our live performance helped them get through what they have to do over there.
Because they're slogging around. I mean, they don't have the creature comforts that we have, so something like that means a lot to them. It's a departure from what they, what they have to deal with every day. Even if they're not seeing combat, it's just not comfortable to be stationed.
Of course. Yeah, for sure. A couple more here before we wrap up. It looks like kind of touched on this. Not that you have a lot of spare time right now, but when you do have spare time to chill out, what do you like to do? Clearly, watch that metal show.
Yeah, of course. No, I do, man. I'm not even just saying that because you're here.
I appreciate that. No, I know. You said it when we met, too.
Yeah.
But I imagine spending time with your son and your family. And
yeah, I mean, they're always there. So it's like we live at home just on a tour bus, and then I like to play computer games, like video games on my computer, on my Alienware, and write music and just that kind of stuff, just little, I'm not like, doing anything interesting.
Skateboard.
Yeah, skateboard. Try not to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about go around the horn? What about you guys?
I mainly just spend time with my family. I have 3 kids of my own. I have 2 older daughters and a son. My oldest daughter just graduated high school, and I'm sending her off to college in the fall.
That means you're going to be working a lot.
Yeah.
to pay for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a blessing, though.
It is. It's awesome. It's just I'm petrified of that day with my kids because the bills I can't even comprehend.
Really,
I think what is your oldest?
scary.
18.
Yeah, she's 18.
That blows your mind.
She's going to school to be a music teacher. So
All the
taking
money,
music
man.
education.
That's where the money is.
Yeah. Teaching.
Yeah. So
Jason, what do you
it's
like
an
to
incredibly
do?
noble profession, and God bless her for it.
What do you like to do outside of music in downtime?
Well, I've been up prior to coming back out with Breaking Benjamin. I've been off the road for about 7 years.
He was on his own hiatus.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done with this crap. Screw touring. Yeah, because we had talked about it several times. Like, hey, would you ever? No.
Yeah. But we twisted each other's arm.
Yeah, but
So you're just psyched to be out doing it again? And getting out
yeah,
on
because
the
I
road.
never saw myself doing it again. As a matter of fact, I swore I never would, because it was just, it can become taxing after a while. And again,
Sure.
it's the climate that you're in, and the climate I was in just wasn't healthy for me. So, but during that time off, mostly writing with other bands, producing, engineering, that sort of stuff. I had a lot of cool relationships, touring in the past, working with bands, and even
And
that's
raising
what
chickens.
and raising chickens. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, we got a bunch of chickens. Yeah, I live out in the country, so I'm the resident redneck, I think. So we do chickens, we shoot guns, we do the whole thing.
All
so.
right. All right.
With no grain.
No grain, yeah. My
Keith?
wife's on this crazy.
Got any fun things you like to do in the downtime?
I like to eat. That's my thing.
You guys kill me. A skinny guy who likes to eat, that makes me want to choke you right now.
Dude, tell me
he's
about
got
it.
that.
Man. I read messages all the time when people say how fat I am. And stuff. No, man. I don't
First
care,
thing you
dude.
do is don't look at the messages. but
Well, dude, I don't care. I'll be fat and eat a pizza, or be skinny and eat a chicken breast. You make the choice. I don't care.
but it's always the
I'll
skinniest
take the
guys that are like, I love to eat.
That's not all I do.
It is one of your major
Yeah,
things.
I
kind of
plan my
fast
whole
on
day around like, where's that good pizza gonna be? All
Yeah,
right,
what's up with
let's-
that, man?
Well, we're in New York, so you could have a field day outside
Exactly.
right now,
Next
man.
time you see him, we'll work on it.
Yeah, put a little weight on it.
Yeah.
Sean, what about you, man?
Well, besides being bummed that I'm off tour at home crying, I mean, I'm big into cars.
He does cry.
Cars?
He sends me. He sends me messages of him crying.
Really
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah, I'm big on Instagram and all that.
You're being sarcastic.
Oh no!
No,
He's the king of it.
No,
For real?
Selfie king. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, like the
Yeah, selfie.
Beauty shots, like
Yeah, glamour shots.
You never have to wonder what he's doing. You'll
Soft
always
focus.
You'll know. Just get on Instagram. You'll find out.
I'll
what
have
I'm
to
doing.
find you on there.
Cars and
Yeah, but I am in the cars a lot, so I'll go to a lot of races and stuff, car shows.
Do you race yourself?
I used to, but I really
he
don't.
ain't racing.
now.
I need him.
Yeah.
He ain't racing nothing. Too
Extra
valuable.
cautious,
Yeah.
extra careful.
But I used to a lot, but I don't now.
What kind of car do you have? Do you have a?
I have a 2013 Mustang 5.0.
I got a 2013 Mustang.
We just become
Convertible.
best friends.
But his a convertible.
But he's going to think I'm the biggest wimp in the world because I got the 6-cylinder.
Well, that's okay.
Does-
Those
do
are
your-
still quick.
do your
They're still
rear view
quick,
mirrors-
and I live in New Jersey with tons of traffic. Where am I going?
Yeah.
You got to touch it. There's nobody in front. People
Do
in
your
front of
rear
me.
view mirrors project the
The
thing
horse
down?
thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I bought the car.
That's one of the
Nothing
reasons I
cooler
got
than
it.
that.
Too.
That was
I
the
was
only
like,
cool thing I
that's
thought
cool.
about. Yeah.
He drove it.
Yeah, I drove it.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing. That's the chick magnet.
Oh,
Put the
yeah.
horse on the
Yeah.
the thing.
Everyone's always
What
like,
is that?
wow,
Where'd
where's
that
that
come
coming
from?
from? They're looking
Yeah.
I
around.
saw it on my shoe.
the
I'm like,
mirror.
holy.
Yeah. I had no idea, man. Look at
Yeah.
that. All right. So listen, man. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I don't know if there's anything else we didn't hit on these questions. Maybe we should wrap with this one. This is Mike Young from Facebook, and he says, "Any last words of wisdom for anyone starting a band or anyone just getting started in the music business who's watching this live chat right now?"
I would say, don't suck.
And be honest with yourself
Yes.
about whether you suck or not.
Yes, and know if you suck or not.
You guys, but I got to tell you something. You can laugh about that, but honestly, from my vantage point, as a guy who's on the other side of the business and who everywhere he goes gets handed a CD
bet.
or something,
Yeah.
that you couldn't be more accurate. There's a ton of people, and I don't mean to sound cold about this, but there's a ton of people out there that don't know they suck.
Right.
And they don't. But, no, I'm not trying to be cold about this. This is really important. If people really want advice about this,
Yeah.
and they don't have anybody in their inner circle of friends and family to tell them it needs work.
Dude, that's why the Star Wars prequels suck, because nobody had the balls to tell him, this isn't good.
You gotta have that person around you.
You gotta have that person
And if
around
you
you.
don't, you just go through life angry because you think you're getting a raw deal because nobody's giving you an opportunity. When in reality, nobody has the stones to tell you it just ain't that good.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, I get handed stuff all the time. I'm just like,
I
how
wish
does
somebody told them
know
that,
that this isn't good? Like it's again, not to be cold, but for me, I've always felt one of the most incredible talents beyond being able to play. The ultimate talent is being able to write great songs.
Yeah.
If you think about it throughout history, it's always the people who have written great timeless songs that have stood the test of time.
Well, because, I mean, you can play guitar awesomely, but what are you going to play if there's not a great song to play? Yeah. You know, so it's really the meat and the bones of the whole thing.
Did you ever get something that was just so bad it was good?
Yeah.
Where it was like,
That's-
this is horrible and I love it.
Yeah, it's
Crank
so
it.
awful
And,
that it's,
yeah, it's
what's
just-
that
There's a
guy's
fine
name?
line. There's
Yeah.
a fine line.
There is. It's a
so
special,
bad that it's good.
Yeah, just
It's a special
keep it
talent.
because
I
it's
know.
so awful.
We used to have I used to work for a record label, and we used to get so many demos, and as soon as we would get the 8x10 and the most ridiculous looking thing, you'd know it was the worst thing. So we used to have a wall of shame in the office
Yeah.
where we would tack that 8x10 up
How many
because
Dr. Seuss hats were on that wall?
this was the 80s, so there was even crazier
Oh,
stuff going on, man.
I wish it's got to still be there somewhere. You guys should have immortalized it if it's 80s, because even the ones that were cool were
Yeah.
sometimes lame.
Yeah. There was a lot of hairspray and makeup going on, man, in a lot of those pictures. But, anyway, listen, man, it's been a blast talking to you guys, and I appreciate you having me do this, and I wish you the best of luck with Dark Before Dawn, the new album from Breaking Benjamin, which is available now, so you can go however you buy music. I'm because I am an old school guy, still a huge fan of the CD, and you got all the packaging here. You got a cool booklet, some cool artwork
At least
here.
there's no record in there. You know, you're not that old.
No, I'm still a CD guy because I can still hold something and I can still rip this into my phone. So
not many people know, though, we actually do have an album of that. Like a
vinyl?
record, yeah.
Well, that's a big thing. A lot of people are digging vinyl again, you know, and I love the packaging. It's just I'm not putting a turntable in my car anytime soon.
You open up your trunk and it's like all out.
But I mean, whatever configuration you want to get, CD, vinyl, of course, the download on iTunes or what have you. Seriously, killer record, and I wish you the best of luck with it, and good luck on the road and going forward, man. This has been a lot of fun. So thanks.
Man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Absolutely.